What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Mob Vlog. Now, this isn't a scheduled live for those of you that are watching this live, but a couple of days ago, I got a phone call from someone who said, "Hey, I'm in town right now." And I said, "Well, hell, let's get together and let's make a video." And we started making a video, and I said, "You know what?" I said, "Let's just go live and let the people ask you some questions, because you've been on the show once and we did one that was, canned, and let's do a live." So, everybody, today, right now, on Mob Vlog, we have David Bowman, who wrote Bringing Down Cullotta. So, welcome back to Mob Vlog. David Bowman, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Adam. It's great to see you again.
Hey, it's good to see you. I hear it's an anniversary for you right now.
Yes, it is. 39 years ago today, I was sitting in a motel up on, what was it, East or West Tropicana, the King 8, with a bunch of federal agents waiting to testify before a grand jury, which led to Frank becoming a government witness. And you'll read all about it in my book.
So I want to get into that, and I want to get into the book. First, let me say hi to a few people that are here on the channel: John Allen, Pam Rudnick, Cindy Workman, Bob Dog. God bless America. That's actually the name. God bless America. So, hey everyone, welcome. I know this is not something that we scheduled. I didn't even advertise that we were going to do this because it was such a last minute thing. So, Elizabeth Francis is out of Facebook jail. About time. Welcome back. Good to see you around here. Okay, so David Bowman. For those of you who don't know who David Bowman is, let's start. And thank you guys. You guys are already throwing questions out. No disrespect. God bless America, David. Noted, and this is the biggest topic when we did the live show. This is the biggest topic and the biggest comments, the most amount of comments. No disrespect, but is Mr. Bowman a recovering addict?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I did my share of drugs in my day, but I would never call myself an addict. I mean, some people would. I never classified myself as such.
Okay, so so you don't do drugs anymore, or you do?
No.
No, not like back in the days when you're in your
Right.
20s, right? Running around,
Exactly.
doing all this crazy stuff that you're writing about in the book. That's okay.
That's
And-
long past.
Okay, so that's that's the story. Now, for those of you who don't know who David Bowman is and why he wrote this book, Bringing Down Cullotta, and what the story is, years ago, David was involved with the Hole in the Wall gang here in town through Jerry Costanza, who was Frank's brother-in-law. Frank's brother-in-law. And Frank Cullotta's brother-in-law, and that's how you, yes, this is the guy who robbed Frank, Jacqueline. Sorry, Jacqueline Moore was just asking. So, by the way, guys, hit the like button if you're just getting in here. David Bowman with us today, if you're just coming in. And back then, you got a tip that there was some cocaine and Quaaludes in a drug dealer's apartment here in Las Vegas, right?
That's correct. And we were looking to make a score, and that's what we got involved with these guys really basically to do. And so we lined it up. We actually participated in it. We sat on the guy. He was a Cuban, and he was hanging out at the El Jardín restaurant. And we knew his car. So we just sat there and close to a phone booth in case he was to leave. Then I was jump on the phone, call his apartment, and Ernie and Leo would be a would pick up the phone and I'd tell them to get out of there, but that never happened, and everything went smooth until we found out that they got more than what they said they got.
So you were told there was $100,000 worth of goods in this apartment with this dealer, but after they broke in and stole it, they came back to you and said, "Oh, it wasn't $100,000 worth of goods, drugs, right?"
Well, we really didn't know at the time what was going to be in there. It was just, one of them things. You'll find out when it's there, but we had a feeling it was quite a bit. We actually found out through Ernie DeVino told Jerry after we had been told that they'd gotten a whole lot less by Frank, and that we would get our end in a couple of days, and then a couple of days turned into a week, and Jerry and Frank never really got along. I mean, Jerry felt that Frank didn't, I don't know, respect him enough, and he didn't like the fact that Frank was dating his sister at the time. So there was definitely an edge there anyway. And this just kind of threw gasoline on that whole edge.
I see. So that's how it all started anyway, right? Was with that,
Yep.
and then you went in and you broke in, you gouged your arm on the way in, still have
Yep.
your scar and all, right?
Yep, there it is.
Yeah. So I'm going to take some questions from the viewers, David, and thank you again for coming on Mob Vlog and doing this live to interact with our all of our prescribers. So
Hey, I'm happy to do it.
awesome. And again, if you're just coming in here, hit the like button, guys. Bringing Down Cullotta, the author of Bringing Down Cullotta. If you don't know the story, it's fascinating. And if you saw David's first interview, which, it was your first interview, right, David?
Yeah, I mean, it was, and I was hadn't been in front of the camera, and it was just kind of nerves and a first time thing. I hadn't done it for a while.
Hey, the number one fear in America is public speaking. You believe that? Number two is death. So
Yeah.
it's better to give your eulogy, or it's more scary to give your eulogy than to be in the casket, I guess. So, So anyway, let's see here. Pam Rudnick, David, I heard that you worked for the government for a while, then something happened and the government turned on you.
Yeah, and you'll read about it in the book. It's involved with, I basically got Frank for the police and the feds, and in fact, as Adam mentioned, 39 years ago, I was waiting to testify tomorrow morning, which 39 years ago, and shortly after that, days after that, after I was flown back to Colorado, it was announced that Frank had become a government witness. And it was a big deal at the time. And I should have been given money and relocated, but I wasn't. And you'll read about that in the book, because it's a very interesting story of how my ending happened with the authorities.
Indeed, it is very interesting in that you were working with the police and the FBI to get them information. CS in Vegas, Adam, you're reaching for content. Hey, you're wasting your time even leaving comments. So go watch another channel if you're not enjoying this. Honest to God, man, really. God bless America. Thank you for sharing your story, Mr. Bowman. Is your book available on Amazon?
Yes, it is. You can just go to Amazon, punch in Bringing Down Cullotta, and you should get it should come up for you. It's also available on from my publisher, which is Coastal West Publishing, and you can get it there, coastalwest.ca.
Okay, coastalwest.ca, and then also right there, in the description, we'll put a link to David's book if you want to buy one. JW is asking, other than robbing Cullotta, what was your biggest score and what was it?
That was probably, I got to say, that was probably it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, your life wasn't really the life of a criminal the whole way. You started out, did some things in your late teens, early 20s, right? And got involved with this, and you just you crossed paths, just a weird path crossing that happened here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you know, what people need to understand is I was very young at the time, because most of the people, in fact, I'm probably the sole survivor of anybody that knew and was involved with this, you know, all these people, because most of them have passed. But because I was so young at the time, I was 19 years old when during the summer of 1980. And
right.
And then once I began working for the police, which went on for about a year and a half, I had just turned 21. So that's a pretty big deal if you think about it.
Okay. So yeah, and you did end up in jail later on, which we can touch back on that. But I gotta respond to a comment here. This one is from Tia. Says, you're disrespecting my Uncle Frankie. Seriously, come on now. You had to stay on here twice, and you know Uncle Frankie wouldn't let you do that if he was alive. So David, just could you kind of, so that people understand, first off, the book, did Frank say, hey, go ahead and write this book to you?
Yes, he did.
Now, he said that to you when you came to town, took the tour with him, right? You didn't tell him who you were, but when you got on the tour, you were like, hey, you know, I'm right. I'm this guy. I did this to you. I got you in trouble. Hope you're not mad at me anymore, kind of more or less, right? But I'd like to tell my story, not really more or less about how you, because the story's about how the evidence or the stuff that you, the information you had about that stolen furniture, you gave it to him. That's what the story's about. But it's also about how the FBI and the police treated you as a witness, correct?
That's correct.
And that was what you really wanted to get it out. So did Frank even set you up with co-author Dennis Griffin?
Yes.
Who, by the way, Dennis Griffin, he co-authored all of Frank's books. So obviously the chances of you just happening to have the same author would be incredibly impossible to one. You went to Frank and Frank helped you put this together.
Yes,
let's clear the air right now. So anybody else who thinks that we're Bob, yes, see, it's another. Tia, thank you, by the way. That was really nice of you, dear. I appreciate that. Bob Manolatos. Easy to say things when Frank is dead. So Frank, and when you talk to Frank, when Frank was alive, and you have pictures of you with Frank on the tour, there's nothing you're saying. I mean, Frank called me and told me that you got on the tour with him and told me the whole damn story about what happened and said he was going to turn you on to help you write the book. So we're not saying anything when Frank is dead. We're not talking, anything that didn't happen. And you guys can go look it up in reports and records and all of that. Emma Pelton. All right. So if you're interested, Emma, no, I am not gay. David? Gay? No. Okay. There you go. I think Mr. Bowman has been totally truthful and transparent. He should be applauded and not punished. That's from God Bless America. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of, in a way, you did something really stupid that also turned out to, I mean, everything I believe anyway, David, works out for a reason.
Right.
Happens
I
for a
also
reason.
believe that.
Yeah. So,
Because, and Frank and I talked about it. If I hadn't have done what I did with Frank at the time,
mhm.
he would have probably been killed a long time ago, and he understood that. Uh, it
did,
was a life-changing thing for both of us, really.
did
Uh,
he acknowledge that
yeah, well, at
when you
the
guys talked, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he did.
Sounds like Frank and David patched things up. JW saying, an American Gangster. Yeah, this is a rough crowd tonight. I don't know what the hell's going on. We're going
That's
on
all
so
right.
late, but it's okay. I
I
enjoyed
like
it.
Ron.
Yeah, Ronnie Miller, what's going on? Ice Pick Willie, how are you? God bless America. He's turned himself around, and that's not easy. He needs praise, love, and forgiveness for David. So, hey, everybody goes through their spots in life, has their funks, has their all this and that they, ups and downs. But
Mhm.
all in all, how is life for you?
It's been good. I went back to Colorado, and I've just pretty much lived there since all this has happened. I've done a few different type of work, different types of careers. Uh, got a CDL license. I drove a village shuttle up in Snowmass Village
Mm-hmm.
near Aspen. I was a limousine driver. I was a caretaker for a wealthy couple up in Snowmass, and lived up there for about 8 years, and uh, got into bicycling, hiking, do a lot of outdoor stuff. I still try to stay in shape and stay healthy.
Yeah. So let's see here. I'm going to take another one. This is a really tough crowd tonight. All right, Andrew Misch. If you read Frank's books, he said he didn't rip off his partners. He didn't hold out on this dude. Frank wouldn't co-sign that. I
Well,
mean,
it's interesting. People make these comments, but they weren't around back in those days. They're going by, and Frank became somewhat of a legend after Casino, and but I was there. I lived it. I was around him, and at the time, everybody at that time was doing a lot of blow. Okay, including Frank, Ernie, Leo, Jerry, everybody. It was that time, and once you start doing that stuff, it's pretty difficult, especially when you have so much of it or access to it. Uh, that it was a big part of everyone's life.
yeah. So it was. That was a big. I mean, here, great question, Grievous. What's the sole purpose, David, in bringing out this book or writing this book, releasing this? What's the purpose of this?
Well, mainly I wanted just the truth to come out after all this time, and mainly I wanted to direct it at how I was treated by the feds after I came out here and testified May 5th of 2000 or I'm sorry, 1982. And like I said, shortly after that, and when you read the book, you can draw your own conclusions because that's, as I spell it out in the book, you can compare my story to the story that's been told and draw your own conclusion. But you have to ask yourself this: if Frank had already flipped and become a government witness prior to me coming out and testifying on his brother-in-law on May 5th of 82, they would have never brought me out to testify. because as soon as they got Frank, which was just a few days later, and he agreed to become a government witness, that's when they basically erased me, and that was it.
And they just didn't need you then.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and see, that's the irony. See, nobody knew I existed anyway. So when they burn you, then you never existed in the first place. And then with all of once Frank became a government witness, that went on for years. Okay. This all happened in 82 is when Frank flipped in May of 82. But the Spilatro's first trial, I believe, was in 83. And then the second trial wasn't until, 86. And they'd killed them, Tony and Michael, before that, so there wasn't a second trial.
So back to Andrew Meach, who said there's no way that Frank held out on you, because he said he never held out on anyone. His response here is, how do you know that for a fact? Frank was the one who held out on you. Those are some big accusations that go against his word. So how do you know that for a fact, that there was more than what they said?
Well, because Ernie and Leo were the ones that went over and got it. And it just so happened that Jerry, who was like my partner at the time. See, there was kind of like a subdivision of the Hole in the Wall gang. See, everybody envisions the Hole in the Wall gang as that iconic photograph of all of them getting arrested at Bertha's. But that was a special job that required, they had certain other people that they brought in. But for the most part, Ernie and Leo were the core of the crew. And so naturally, he knew exactly what they got, and there's where the rub came.
Now, also, you broke into Frank Cullotta's house.
Yeah.
And stole the drugs back, so you had them in your hand. You know the value, street value of these drugs, right?
Yeah.
So that's Andrew. That's how he knows for a fact that there was more than what he said, because when he broke in to steal it, he saw how much was there. So, Elizabeth Francis, you are correct. I love when people who were there tell their side of what happened. It's primary sources of history, and that is true. David, you are a primary source of this history. So I just, look, I would not disrespect Frank at all, okay? And I'm not saying that, wow, Frank would have held out on somebody either. I'm just saying that, I don't know. Is there, what is the saying? There's no honor among thieves? Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay, so, I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking, out loud. Thinking, but I don't know. If you steal, if that's what you do, you steal, right? Then why, then you're going to, but I never stole from my partners. If I'm sure that everybody's got to be, because here's the other thing. You don't want to steal from your partners because you end up dead, right? I mean, that's how it worked in the game. So
well, it just creates bad blood. And then, whether the person just wants to kill you or they toss you to the police, it's just over the long haul, it's not a good way to do things. And believe it or not, again, see, after Frank got out and did casino and did all that, this was a long time after everything that was going down, when the police were after him. People need to remember Frank and Tony and his crew, they pretty much would rob anybody. Okay. And that's what Jerry told me when we got into town. They didn't care who it was, drug dealers, who they were affiliated with, they would hit them. Now, they wouldn't hit or rob anybody like in that tight little circle. But from my vantage point, anybody outside of our little circle was fair game. And that's just how they rolled back then.
Right. That's crazy. CS in Vegas. I've heard that before too, even from police officers and whatnot. CS in Vegas. The purpose of the book is to make money. CS in Vegas. Weren't you in the beginning of this thing? In the beginning, saying this is terrible content tonight. What the hell are you doing here still? That's hilarious. Anyway, so he says I'm reaching for content at the beginning of this thing, David. Do you believe it? And he's still sitting here. Unbelievable. Hey, CS in Vegas, thanks for watching, pal. Be sure to hit the like button too, okay? Good content deserves a like. All right. Yes, I'm going to go to God Bless America. The FBI did have an insider on the Bertha's job. That was Sal Romano. He was the informant. He wore a wire on that job. Bob, truthfully, David, it's nothing against you. I don't believe half the things former mob guys and former witnesses are saying on YouTube when the people they talk about are dead and can't respond. It's nothing against you, though, David, but Bob doesn't believe anyone. Jacqueline Moore, erased, then thrown out to the wolves with nothing. He put his life on the line when he was willing to testify, and the FBI only wanted you to use him to make a case. Basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah, in the book. So, yeah. So, Andrew, you're very welcome for taking the questions. And Frank is someone who is dead, and he is a first person, and don't want his word trashed. No, of course not. And again, it's not disrespecting Frank at all. This is just, look, guys, every story has got two sides to it. Okay, go talk to any divorce attorney. Every story has got two sides. Not that I've ever talked to a divorce attorney, Allie, but there's two sides to every story. So
let me interject something, Adam.
Yeah, please.
That people need to take into consideration, and it's not just about Frank Cullotta. It's about, like the guy made the comment about, he doesn't believe half of what these ex-mob guys say, and I get it. You know, I see a lot of that stuff on YouTube, and you know, I understand where the guy's coming from. But here's the point I want to make: when somebody like a Frank Cullotta or a Sammy Gravano or whoever, okay, is involved in an outfit, Chicago, New York, whatever, and they get busted or they get cornered and they have to make a deal or they're going to go to prison for the rest of their life. Okay. Once you make that deal, okay, and usually when they make it, there is really only two choices. You're going to either get killed in prison or you're going to become a government witness, and maybe, you know, you can come out the other side. And that's why they do it. But once you do that and you sign on with the government, you have to tell them everything. Okay. They want to know everything. And then, like in Frank's case, I believe he confessed to, 4 killings. Others have confessed to more. So consider this, people out there. When you make that deal, ask yourself, is the federal government going to give you immunity for killing 4 people, 6 people, 15 people without you pretty much doing exactly what they want you to do? And that's what Frank did. At that point in time, he wasn't calling the shots. He was in a very bad situation that I put him in. And if I would have been in that situation, I probably would have done the same thing because he really had no choice. But just remember that when you do sign on with the government, they pretty well own you for the time until they cut you loose. And that's just something I wanted to throw in there.
Yeah, American Gangster. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, right?
Hmm.
Um, Larry Shackman. What's not to believe? Why is any of this so unbelievable? Yeah, the idea of the book is to make money. Novel idea. Novel idea. See what he did there? I like you,
Yeah.
Larry. You're amusing me today. Thank you very much. Um, yes. So let's see here. JW. Dave, what's your opinion of Frank during the time period of 1980? You robbed him and ratted on him. Did you fear him? Hate him?
Uh, let's call it a healthy fear. And anybody living in Las Vegas at that time had a healthy fear. If you didn't, you were just stupid or crazy. Uh, so after, we took the drugs back from him, and that was a long, and you'll read it in the book. Uh, a lot of events took place, the days that followed and the weeks that followed. And that is what led me to go to the police and start working with Gene Smith.
Got ya.
It was
Uh,
either, as I talked about in the other video, uh, as far as I was concerned, there was two ways to go. It was either kill him or toss him to the police. And I'm not a killer, so I opted for the latter, and I think it all worked out better for. It definitely worked out better for Frank. As far as I was concerned, the only mistake that I made really was trusting the FBI and the police.
wow. It's true. And Eric, I want to get to this question. Eric Epstein, David's correct. Look what the FBI did to white boy Rick in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And are you familiar with white boy Rick,
Well,
Dave?
I'm not, but I did something with Fred Dupree with the Donut Shop Chronicles, and he's from up there in Michigan, and he was filling me in about it.
Yeah. So this white boy Rick, I guess, is like 14 years old. He was the youngest FBI informant. And that's what
Hmm.
the story. And I guess that they chewed him up and spit him out is the story.
Yeah,
Sound familiar?
yeah. Well, and again, this guy's 14, and I was 19 to 21, and granted, I mean, I never like to use that as an excuse. I know people look at me like I'm crazy, but uh, I mean, I was down. I'd been, knew what was going on, and I was a pretty sharp young dude. But you can only be so sharp at 21. And I mean, when you're dealing with professional FBI agents and assistant U.S. attorneys and such, uh, it was pretty. And like I said, I just trusted them because I just thought there was no way that they would do that to me.
Right.
Boy, was I wrong.
Yeah. Kevy O, his comment, what a coattail rider. Saying you're riding Frank's coattails. So Kevy O, the book that was co-authored by Dennis Griffin, who, by the way, co-authored all of Frank's books, actually put David in touch. Frank put David in touch when he said, "Hey," he went to Frank and said, "I want to write my story." So, are you riding Frank's coattails?
No, I wouldn't say so.
I don't think you would. I don't think you would mind if you did, though, because he
No.
told you to write the book.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. Anyway, God bless America. White boy Rick is the poster child of a corrupt system. Very sad. I pray he's being blessed in the next chapter of his life. Yeah, I do not know the story, guys, but it sounds interesting, and I'm going to have to look on this. So,
Well, I want to throw something out here, Adam, for the
sure.
listeners and our viewers. There is a person who is very much alive, who is a practicing attorney here in Las Vegas, by the name of Don Campbell. And Don Campbell was the assistant U.S. attorney who presided over my grand jury cases that I was out here testifying on 39 years ago to the day. He knows all about what I did. In fact, Don Campbell knows a lot of things and some things I would like to ask him myself that went down that was never told and never publicized. And he's kept a very low profile over the years. And I would love to for him to come out and basically punch my ticket and admit that I did what I did and they did what they did to me. I know that is probably difficult for him to do, given how despicable how they treated me was very despicable. But I mean, I don't hold a grudge. It's 40 years later. There is a lot that he knows that I would like to, bring to light, as well as what's in my book. So,
what part of the story can he fill you in on that you don't know about or that you want answers to?
Well, after he burned me, and I went to the media, which is also in the book, and did a big 4-part newspaper story with Jeff Garriman and the Las Vegas Sun. And there was a back and forth. Frank and the feds, in order to counter my story, came up with a story. My story broke on September the 19th of 1982, which was a Sunday. And it was in the Sun. And it was a 4-part series that ran 4 days.
Yeah, I'm sorry, David. As you're talking about this, I just want you guys to see this is in the book, okay? And these are the articles. And if you can't read that top headline, because this camera's not focusing, it says trouble began when gang members tried to steal from Pal. And there's the picture of the hole-in-the-wall gang members. Trouble began when, it's all about David Bowman's story, and it was in the Sun in Las Vegas. Sorry to interrupt you, David.
That's all right. And so once my story broke on the 19th, all of a sudden, coincidentally, Frank surfaces from witness protection. He hadn't done any other newspaper stories, of course, until this point. And he came out in the RJ front page story saying that he had paid John Moran 40 grand to back off of him and Tony. And there was a lot of follow-up stories that took place after that, where Moran vehemently denied it, said Frank was a pathological liar. He took a polygraph. I mean, this shit went on for, days and probably a couple of weeks afterward or months. I'd have to look at all the stories, but I pulled up quite a few. And it was what I would like to ask Don Campbell was what was the back and forth that was going on between Yablonsky and Parsons and, basically what was going on, the brain trust back then, with them, with us playing dueling front page newspaper stories back then, because that's what it was. They were trying to smokescreen my story because they were seriously worried about me screwing up their case against Spalatro. Like, for instance, me going over to the other side with Oscar and John Mommet and, testifying as to how they used me and burned me.
I do not understand this comment, John. Could someone like Mr. McDonald back this up to be true? I watched interviews of Mr. McDonald talking about the cases of Frank. Just curious. Mr. McDonald.
Mr. McDonald, yeah.
I have no idea what the I thought maybe you knew what this person was talking about. That's why.
No.
Okay. All right.
No McDonald I know of.
Yeah, right. Okay, so let me go back up to the Elizabeth Francis. The FBI can't make a case without informants and entrapment. J. Edgar was a pervy jagoff. I like that last little part that Elizabeth throws in there.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Well, I mean, what she says is very true, that if it wasn't for informants, they wouldn't make a lot of cases, that's for sure. And it's very true. If you take me and Sal Romano out of the equation, Frank and Tony probably still be out here doing their thing.
Yeah, maybe. Bub, this man, meaning you, David, is offering us a piece of history about Frank from a different perspective. I welcome it. He seems like he's well put together and not some bum just trying to make a buck. And I can't agree anymore, Bub, which is why when David called me earlier today, or was it last night, yesterday texted me, hey, I'm going to be in town. I said, let's get together. I'd love to interview you again because I've read the book, guys, and the book is fascinating. This story is really, really interesting. And we're going to put a link in the description below. Also, if you're coming in, hit the like button, smash the like button, guys. And if you haven't prescribed to the channel yet, now's a good time. So go down there and do that as well. So let me you can actually see, wow. So I'm sorry, guys. We got there's so many conversations. American Gangster, you're right. We got conversations going on in the comment section, and it's a lot. There's a lot going on. Are the people that robbed Frank with you? Are they still alive?
No. Jerry Costanza passed away. It's been quite a while. I'd have to look. I remember I looked up and he passed away quite a while ago.
Okay, so yeah.
And then now Sony, he may still be alive, but I haven't had contact with him for a long, long time.
Right. Long time, huh? So you guys just, again, your life, it changed, and you ended up going to. I'm sorry, Eric Epstein. J. Edgar wore more women's tops than Adam does. I don't know about that, Eric. I don't know about that, man. What is the deal with these guys? Unbelievable. You like
rough
to fondle?
crowd.
Yeah, Alaric Goth. I'd rather fondle the like button. I think the people tonight have been a little bit drinking or something going on this channel. What the hell is it? It's like I'm in Twilight Zone right now. All right, so let's get back on the track. Jerry Costanza, wasn't he on the Seinfelds?
No, that was George Costanza.
See, that was George Costanza, right. Eric Epstein, no, Adam. All my Joes are in fun. Love you, Adam. I know you do, of course. There's this comments are going on in the side comments here about Francis and the testifying, and did he testify against people? Didn't he testify? And you could see a video. I don't know what you guys are talking about here on in this side thing, but anyway, David Cassidy, I got your like button swinging right on. So it's a fun crowd tonight. Anyway, we're just going to open forum with you guys. I mean, I wanted to bring David on, talk about his book, ask him, do you guys have any questions that you want to ask David while he's on here? Because this is the time, and there's about 100 of you watching right now live. So if there's something that something that you're wanting
any
to know.
question, take anything.
What was Larry Newman like? Did you ever meet Larry Newman?
I didn't meet Larry Newman. My friend at the time, Tassoni, he told me he'd met him a couple times, and the way he described him, just to be honest, he said he was a loudmouth drunk. That's how my friend described him.
Really?
Yeah.
Larry Newman, a loudmouth drunk.
Yeah.
Wow. And this was just when met him one time, or did he know him?
No, because, like I said, Joe was at the restaurant all the time. So, I was there quite a bit, but since he was, preparing the food, that he got to see and meet a lot of the everybody that came in. So, but
Yeah.
no, I never met him, and honestly, I knew who he was, and really didn't want to meet him. To be honest with you, didn't want to hang with him.
Yeah, I heard he's, from what Frank said about him, scary guy. Damn, look
Yeah.
at that. Are you seeing that on the screen? It looks
Hmm.
like we're drinking the exact same thing. Looks like we're drinking the exact. What's the chances of this happening? Are you drinking a
Yeah.
peach bubbly?
Yep.
Holy cow. You must be here in Vegas.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, I am I've just had a awesome time with you guys tonight. S S side honky, South side honky wants to know, David, are you considered an upright citizen nowadays? Do you consider yourself a contributing member of society?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So,
Hmm.
you did go to jail though, and I said we would touch on that. So
Yeah.
what did you go to jail for?
Well, it was over a shooting in Colorado Springs, Colorado, a couple of years after I left Las Vegas after getting burned.
Mhm.
It happened in late November of '84, and it was over a dancer stripper that I was dating at the time. And as it turned out, she was, as hindsight had it, she had quite a few people she was dating at the time. And this ex-boyfriend, who was a DJ at the club, pulled a gun on me and my friend in her bedroom. And my friend pulled his gun, and there was a brief struggle, and he was shot. It was a contact wound. Vince had the gun pressed against his head. He tried to get him to drop his weapon and chill out, but the guy was highly intoxicated, as it turned out, as the autopsy showed. Was full of cocaine, alcohol, and other things. And he tried to, turn his gun on Vince and wrestle with him briefly, and the gun went off and killed him. And we panicked because that was the last thing we expected to happen when we went back over there that night. And so we took off. Again, this was 1984. There was no landline in the house or in the apartment. There was like 5 other people there. And so we took off. We went on the lam for a couple of weeks. It's actually, I did a thing with Joe Kenda, Homicide Hunter, and people could check that out. It's not all that accurate because it's, of course, Joe Kenda's show, and he's going to tell it the way he wants to tell it. But I gave a lot of information that they left on the cutting room floor. So, but the bottom line was the young girl, she got scared, and she gave about 6 different versions of what happened. The police knew she was lying. Joe Kenda knew she was lying, but they wanted their pound of flesh. And so they tried Vince first. And now, if I had would have testified against my friend and co-signed this lying woman story, I wouldn't have done a day. But because I wouldn't do that, and I told the truth, I mean, I didn't testify at Vince's trial because from advice from, of course, my lawyer told me, you can't do that, because I was scheduled to go on trial the following Monday on the same charges, which were first-degree murder. So, and we were indicted together on a 8-count grand jury indictment. So we were tried, they severed us and tried Vince first, since he was the, trigger man, as they say. So they always tried the trigger man first. And had I testified against him and lied and said, he went in and murdered him, I would have walked and my life would have been totally different. But I couldn't do that. So I I gave my statement when I flew back and turned myself in at Stapleton Airport, and my statement basically told a self-defense story. But I was never, like I said, called to testify. I never testified for Vince, but my story coincided with his.
Got it. Okay. So, in how many years did you end up?
I did. I ended up taking a plea bargain, which I didn't want to do. It was a surprise thing. I was ready to go to trial that Monday morning, and my lawyer, all of a sudden, out of the blue, mind you, because this had never even, I told him from the get-go that I was no deals. And all of a sudden, the last minute as I'm walking into the courthouse, he throws this plea bargain bullshit on me. And at first I told him they offered me a 12, and I told him to stick it up his ass, and that I wasn't taking a 12-year deal because I didn't do anything. I mean, Vince had taken the stand and said, I shot the guy. So, I mean, I was there, but that was about it. So I wasn't going to go to do 6 hard years for doing basically nothing. So, and then he came back with an 8, and, my brother was there, my mom and dad was there. My private investigator, they were all, just paranoid, didn't want to see me go down,
Right.
But the truth is the lawyer kind of, well, let's call it what it is. He sold me out, because if I'd have went to trial, the worst I would have got out of it was a 4-year deal for accessory. And he had me plead to a charge that had already been thrown out in the beginning, in the preliminaries. Okay. And so, yeah, I basically did twice as much time as I should have done. Why he did that, I'll never know, but I could definitely spell it all out to you in legal terms as to how it worked that way. So, yeah, I'm not too fond of him. But, yeah, I ended up doing 3.5 years.
Wow.
Counting.
So 3.5 years. Long time. I mean, I've not been in jail, but I imagine a day is too long as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It was
a long, strange ride, it really was. But I can honestly say that I came out a better man, honest to God, than I went in. I learned patience and self-discipline. And those were 2 things that I was lacking prior to going in.
Interesting. You learned patience and self-discipline while in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Well, because you learn patience, because you have to learn how to do time. There is an art to doing time, because when you first go down, your mind tends to, we're free creatures, and all of a sudden you go to being locked down like an animal, and it's a struggle to maintain your sanity the first 6 months you're down, and that's pretty well whether it'll make you or break you, and you learn how to live with yourself in there, basically, and be happy, find things to smile about, laugh about.
Find joy in jail.
Yeah.
And
that's Dave the neat thing to do, mind you.
Dave puts the joy back in jail.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Some quick questions, because I don't want to go on too much longer. But Greg Mullinex, did you know Herb Blitzstein, Dave?
I did not know Herbie. I did not.
Did you know Wayne Matecki?
I did not.
Okay. Did you know? Who did you fear the most? Ronnie Miller wants to know.
Well, out of that whole crew, the most dangerous of the whole crew, the most unstable chemicals, was Newman. But believe me, I knew Frank was very capable of putting your lights out if he deemed necessary.
Okay, gotcha. John Levanke. I apologize, not Mr. McDonald with the detective. It was Dennis Arnoldy. John Levansky. Ronnie Miller. Am I okay? Yes, I am okay. Ronnie, why do you think that I look mad? Do I look mad? Do I, Ronnie? Well, I don't know why you think I'm mad. I'm not mad. What the heck?
Never mad.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Dennis Arnoldy, some of you guys.
What did he ask about Arnoldy? Because I did know Dennis Arnoldy, and I worked with him. Or
what did you know? Well, go ahead. Tell us. What did you know about Dennis Arnoldy? Sure.
Yeah, I met Gene Smith. Brought me into the feds like the February of '81, before they flipped Romano, and again at that point in time, which was just a couple of months after they had cracked Frank with the furniture, which was in again late November of 1980, and so early that next year is when they brought me into Sony and to see Campbell and Arnoldy and Joe Gursky. And we basically just, filled them in on all the shit we did with those guys during the summer, which was enough to basically put them all away. And had they not have flipped Romano, when they did, which was like maybe a month or two later, they would have probably ended up using us on those cases on maybe it would have been the Cuban and the other case or the other score that you'll read about in my book, which is a pretty heavy score.
Okay. So again, you guys read about it in the book. There'll be a link in the description down below. If you're just coming in, smash the like button, guys. A lot of you are saying at first you didn't know what was going to happen when we started this live tonight. You guys were unsure of what was going to go on with David Bowman, but a lot of you are really saying that you're enjoying this content tonight. So thank you guys all for watching. Tom Delahunty bought and read the book. Bought your book, Dave. Pretty interesting.
Well, thank you.
But you spent about 2 or 3 months with the Hole in the Wall gang, and then you wore a wire to entrap some. I don't think it was worth the $50K you were requesting from the government.
Well, I don't really understand his question or what he's saying. There was a lot going on in that short period of time, believe me. And if you would have been around back then and been around Frank and his crew every day, let me just emphasize that. Every single day from the time we rolled into town, which was the first week in June of 1980, we rolled into town right after Gene Smith had just killed Frankie Bluestein. And all those guys were smoking hot about it the first day we pulled into town. So that was already going down. And there was a contract out on Gene Smith at that point in time. So not to mention they were being watched, and then I was being watched, and we found that out as the first night we pulled in. When Jerry asked me, and Joey says, he asked, "Are you guys hot?" And we said no, and he says, "Well, you are now."
Right.
Because I was driving a bright red 77 Old Cutlass Supreme with green GW 200 Colorado license plates.
Yeah.
And believe me, it was the FBI had that a day or two after we were in town.
Jeez.
They actually showed it to me when we, after I began working with them, and they had all these surveillance photos. Yeah. And they kind of laughed, and it was the back end of my car with the license plate. So they had lots of them.
Got it. John Levanke. Can Dennis Arnoldy back up your story?
Yes, he could. But what Frank told me was he is, very old, and I believe is suffering a little.
No. He actually, I spoke with Dennis I spoke with Dennis a few months back.
Did you?
Yes, I did, because I asked Dennis to do an interview with me. Problem is that at the time it was still very, everybody, stay apart. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
understood. I was like, hey, no problem. But I think I'm gonna give him a call and
Yeah, that'd
say,
be
I
awesome.
think it's time, and
Yeah.
I'll bring that up specifically when I do. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that would be. I think that's what Pam Rudnick is actually talking about. Is we need him on the show, and I will definitely reach out again. That is somebody that I know will do an interview with me. So I'll grab him and ask him to do.
I'd
So.
love to do an interview with him too. If
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, interesting. I'd have to talk to him about that. But that'd be interesting, to say the least. Okay, guys, hit the like button, please. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do that. Today, David Bowman, man, thank you first off, everyone, for watching. Thank you, David, for calling me. Let me know you're in town. Guys, go get this book. This book is fantastic, okay? And David, enjoy the rest of your time in town. I know you're doing other interviews, so enjoy the rest of your time in town. And I thank you again for coming on. So thank you very much. And good luck with the sales of your book. I hope that you sell millions of copies of your book.
Thank you, Adam.
You got it, man.
We're going to do it. Yep.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Thank you again for watching. It's been fun. Mob Vlog.